Hello, nature kiddos. So I'm going to make two videos. This first video, I'm going to read through the myth just like I would in class, and I'm going to make sure that the myth makes sense to you, and hopefully, you can't really ask me questions this way, but hopefully it makes sense to you. And then I'll make a second video in which I'm just going to go through that myth analysis box and do it with you, and then hopefully you're learning the process of analyzing the myth for next week when you get a second myth and you kind of do it by yourself or with your partner. So let's get started reading your first nature myth. The story of the first snowdrops. Here we go. An old man sat alone in his house. It was full of shadows. It was dark and gloomy. The old man cared nothing for the shadows or the darkness, for he was thinking of all the mighty deeds that he had done. "There is no one else in the world," he muttered, "who has done such deeds as I," and he counted them over aloud. A sound outside of the house interrupted him. "What can it be?" he said to himself. How dares anything interrupt me? I have told all things to be still. Sounds like the rippling of waters, and I have told the waters to be quiet in their beds. There it is again. It is like the singing of birds, and I have sent the birds far away to the south. Someone opened the door and came in. It was a youth with sunny curls and a rosy face. "Who said you might come in?" muttered the old man. "Did not you?" asked the youth with a merry little laugh. "I am really afraid that I came without asking. You see, everyone is glad to see me, and I am not," interrupted the old man. "I've heard rumors of your great deeds," said the youth, "and I came to see whether the tales are true." "The deeds are more true than the tales," muttered the old man, "for the tales are never great enough. No one can count the wonderful things I have done." "And what are they?" asked the young man gravely, but with a merry little twinkle in his eye that would have made one think of the waves sparkling in the sunlight. "Let us see whether you or I can tell the greatest tale." "I can breathe upon a river and turn it to ice," said the old man. "I can breathe upon the ice and turn it to a river," said the youth. "I can say to the water, 'Stand still,' and it will dare not to stir. I can say, 'Stand no longer,' and it will go running and chattering down the mountainside." "I shake my white head," said the old man, "and snow covers the earth." "I shake my curls," said the young man, "and the air sparkles with sunshine. In a moment, the snow is gone. I say to the birds, 'Sing no more, leave me,' and they spread their wings and fly away. I say, 'Little birdies, come back,' and in a moment they are back again and singing their sweetest songs to me. No one can count the leaves," said the old man, "but whether I shake the tree with my icy touch, or whether I turn my cold breath upon them, they fall to the ground with fear and trembling. Are there any rumors of my deeds as great as that?" The young man answered gravely, but with a laugh in his voice, "I never saw any leaves falling to the ground, for when I appear, they are all fair and green and trembling with the gladness of my coming." So the two talked all night long. As morning came near, the old man appeared weary, but the youth grew merrier. The sunlight brightened, and the youth turned to the open door. There, the trees were full of birds. When they saw him, they sang, "Oh, beautiful spring, glad are we to look again upon your face." "My own dear birds," cried Spring. He turned to say goodbye, but the old man was gone, and where he had stood were only snowflakes. But were they snowflakes? He looked again. They were little white snowdrops, the first flowers of spring, the only flowers that can remember winter. All right. So, I bet when you first saw this title, you saw the story of the first snowdrops, and you assumed that snowdrops meant snowflakes, but they are little flowers. And this is a creation myth because it is telling the story of essentially winter and spring, right? The old man is winter. He likes the dark. If you look in the story, he likes the shadows. He likes the dark. He likes the gloomy. He can breathe and turn the water into ice. He tells the birds to go away, and they leave for the south, which what happens in the winter? Birds fly south in the winter. And then we have spring, and the young man is spring. And so the young man can undo all of the winter, right? He can melt the snow. He can bring the birds back. And so this is essentially winter and spring. It's also important to note that sometimes when we talk about age and we talk about the seasons of somebody's life, spring is when they're very young, and in the story, the young man is spring. And the winter of somebody's life is when they're old, and in the story, the old man is spring. So they go through this competition. Who's better? Who's better? This old man and what he's done, or this young man and what he's done? And basically they can each outdo each other. And spring always outdoes winter. And in the end, spring has come. The old man has disappeared. There are snowflakes, but, and here's where you get the first snowdrops. So you get the myth because we're talking about the seasons. You get the nature part of the myth because we're talking about the seasons. And we're talking about flowers, but you also get the creation part at the end too, because you get the creation of these little flowers that bloom in the spring, but they remember the winter, and they're called snowdrops. So there you go. There's your myth. The next video, we will go through the myth analysis sheet, so you'll probably want the video and the sheet both open at the same time so that you can either see it and type in yours, or at least hear me and then type in yours. All right. See you later.